What's up guys, Nguyen, OG Fitness. Welcome back to the channel. This one, we're gonna talk about how often should you train judo if you wanna be really good at judo. And the answer is not what you think, guys. I know that most people would tell you, well, if you want to get good at something, you have to do it as often as possible. But there are some nuances to that, and for my situation specifically, it's a little bit different. But before I dive into the details of that, let me read you guys the question that sparked, that inspired this video. And that happens a lot these days, guys. You guys are asking questions in the comment section and sending me emails. So thank you for that. Keep them coming. It keeps, it gives me a lot of, video ideas to make and to, answer these questions and share you guys like my thoughts and my journey and so forth. Anyways, let's get right into it. So this one comes from James. Out of curiosity for your situation, if I'm not mistaken, you said your goal is to become a high-level judoka and compete in some major tournaments. Do you feel like you're splitting your time too much with striking for that? Since you started later in life, wouldn't it be better to solely focus on judo and maybe BJJ? Striking to grappling arts, sticking to grappling arts until you reach your goal or feel satisfied enough that you want to start cross training? That's a great question, James. And what James is referring to is that my goal is, because I'm a brown belt in judo, I've been doing judo for about 6 years, and the goal is to eventually become a world champion in judo in my division. So I'm 42, so that means that it's going to be Masters 3, if I'm not mistaken, if I win it at 40-ish, right? Once you hit 45 though, it goes up to Masters 4, I believe, and I think it's every 5 years. It's by 5-year increments. Okay, so here's the thing with judo, and I spoke to my coach regarding this, and I spoke to my first coach, which I reconnected with recently, which is really cool, and I even spoke to my sports therapist and osteopath. Right, so here's the thing. When you're a kid, it's all about volume because, well, you're young. It's things. The body is different when you're young because you're smaller, you're lighter. When you fall, it doesn't hurt all that much. You're growing. And so you could take, for lack of a better term, more abuse to your body. So you want to get in as much volume as you possibly can. But once you get to the national team, at least here in Canada where I am, okay, you don't train every single day in judo anymore. The volume part of it is done. You do that when you're young, and then by the time you get to the national team, which is, if I'm not mistaken, there's junior nationals, and then there's okay, well, anyways, by the time you get to nationals, okay, like you're essentially you're training not every day, but anywhere between 3 or 4 times a week, intense judo. The rest of the time, you're doing other stuff. So you're doing your conditioning, you're doing your mobility work, you're doing your other sports actually other activities that aren't risky, of course, to just stay fit, stay healthy, and as a form of active recovery, but also so that it gives time for everything to sink in, right? Because the thing with judo is that it's really, really hard on the body. And at my age, so imagine this is for people at the national level. Once you get on the national team, they don't even train judo every day anymore. Now imagine a guy, especially after 30 years of age, and I'm 42, guys, like forget about it. You can't do, even 4 times a week would be extreme. 3 times a week is really enough. Like it's more than enough. And even those 3 times, they're periodized properly, which means that for example, on Monday, it would be like the heavy sparring day, right? And then on Wednesday, it would be technique. And then on Friday, it would be conditioning. Conditioning, judo conditioning. So we're doing a lot of throws and stuff like that to practice. And that's really all you need, you know, and that your body could handle. And then on the other days, you would do something else. You would do, you know, you would swim, you would do, you would jog, you would, you know, play basketball or whatever, and that would be good. In my case, instead of doing, because I care nothing about other sports, like I don't feel like playing basketball. You know, I'm not a basketball player. I don't bike, I don't run. So what do I like to do? Well, I like to do other martial arts. So that's why I do striking. Now, when you look at my videos when I'm striking, I'm not actually going hard. You know, like of course it does happen that, you know, we hit each other somewhat hard, and you know, I get a little bit dinged up here and there. I mean, I might feel it, but you know, it's few and far in between. For the most part, we go light. I have fun. It's not very intense at all. You know, it's a good little cardio workout. To me, it's the equivalent of you know, aerobics kind of. So that gets my mind off of judo. Helps, and it's just fun. Like I enjoy it because I'm a martial artist. And then sometimes I'll do some wrestling and some jiu-jitsu in there, right? Now that would be mostly on Tuesday, Thursday, and you know, Saturday. Sunday I tend to take off. If I do anything, I'll do it very light. But here's the thing too. So I make it a point to be 100% when I get to judo practice. So that means on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm there and I give it my all, okay? But then when I do my striking stuff, striking, my wrestling, or my jiu-jitsu, I don't give it my all. Like, you know, because I need to recover. You know, that's not what I'm trying to perform at, so I don't really care, you know, to perform and to give it my 100%. So that's why during those classes, during those trainings, I essentially give 50% effort, you know, or even less sometimes. I'm really coasting. I'm just like looking at technique and I'm doing stuff, you know, and that's what I'm doing. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that's pure judo, 100% effort, okay, and concentration. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, and you know, the weekend, it's everything else, and I essentially half-ass it because I enjoy it, but it's not the priority. I half-ass it in the sense that like I don't go intense and I'm not like fully mentally engaged. I'm just there, I'm looking at it, I'm doing my thing. And of course, it's still, I'm still absorbing and learning a lot while I'm watching and doing things. But I mean, it's not as, I don't think as much. Whereas with judo, I think a lot. You know, like a good, Travis Stevens actually said this. He said that a good judo workout, you know it's good when you go home and you're mentally exhausted. You're not necessarily physically exhausted, okay, but you're mentally exhausted because you really focus on what you had to do on your technique, and you're thinking, you're trying to figure out ways, okay, like, okay, this guy does this guy, I grab it here, I do this, okay, how do I fix my technique? So you see, you have to put a lot of mental effort into your practice. So you have to be there. You know, you have to be very present in that moment when you're training. And you gotta, so for that, you really have to focus and use your brain as well as your body. So I hope that makes sense, guys. I hope that answered the question. So that's why, like, it doesn't actually hinder me to do, what do you call it? To do other stuff, to do like the striking, the BJJ and the wrestling, okay, on the side, like in between my judo, what do you call it? My judo training. And the fun little fact is that the wrestling team, the Canadian wrestling team, actually only trains 4 times a week. And then after that, for the most part, they're playing. And then on the other days, they're essentially doing, they're playing basketball and they're swimming and they're jogging or biking or doing some kind of, relaxed activity that has nothing to do even with wrestling. But I mean, when they do train wrestling though, they train really hard. Their wrestling sessions are probably like something like 4 hours long or something like that, and they probably split it up. But that's what they do, and this is like national level. So that's for wrestling. And in judo, it's probably very similar, you know, something like 4 times a week. And then after that, the rest of the time they're doing other stuff. They're taking care of their conditioning, you know, they're stretching out, they're swimming, they're doing other activities to recover, to let their bodies recover from it. And it's also a mental break. And also you need time for everything that you've, for your brain and even your body to process the information, because it's not just in the brain that it goes, but it goes into your body too, right? Because everything is connected. So I hope I'm explaining that right. I hope that made sense. But that's why 3 times a week is more than enough. And when I'm gonna be competing, I'm gonna be competing with a lot of guys. There are guys who are gonna be ex-national team members, very high-level dudes who still compete, even ex-Olympians who still compete in like world championships and all that. But for the most part, it's gonna be guys who just started later in life, or like myself, and who are not at that level, right? Who weren't at a super high level, and now they started judo later in life, and now they just want to compete. So that's what it's gonna be. And so I'm gonna be facing off with those guys most likely. You know, I'm not gonna be facing off with like a whole bunch of ex-nationals and ex-Olympians. You know, there are gonna be a few of them for sure, but not as many not as many to the point where I should be worried about, and I'd be like, oh man, it's gonna be impossible. I got to, I got to spend every waking moment doing judo, thinking about judo, and so on. And yeah, so also, like I spoke with my first coach, I remember told me, you definitely could do something in the Canadians, you know, like the Canadian Nationals, Canadian Championships. And I talked to my coach now, and he told me, yeah, you could do something at the Worlds, for sure. You know, like you have the judo, you have the skill set, you have the physicality and all that. You know, it's just a question of, well, you know, fine tuning everything and getting you ready to compete. And of course, to compete so you get better at it. You know, I'm not gonna win it the first year, obviously, but so my goal is to win the Canadians first, right? And then from there, once I win the Canadians, then after that, go on to the Worlds. You know, so I might do, I'm not saying that I'm gonna just focus on the Canadians, the Canadian Championships first. I mean, that's what I have in mind, in the sense that like if I win the Canadians, then I have a very good chance of performing at the Worlds, so to speak, right? But in a year, I would probably do both of them anyway. Even if I do the Canadians and I lose, I would still go to the Worlds and check it out, see what's up over there. And after that, like regardless of what happens, then come back home, plan it out, go back to the drawing board, and then prepare for the next year. You know, so this is like a long-term project, guys. It's not gonna be something that I'm gonna be able to do in like my first year out. You know, because this idea of mine's of going for the title like this. This is a recent thing, you know, it's only been a little bit less than a year now that I've decided like this is what I want to do. Anyways, I hope that made sense. I know this video, it's been going on. It's not too bad, guys, 13 minutes. I've talked longer than this, I mean. Okay, so that's it, guys. So if, what do you guys think? Leave it down below in the comments, comment, of course, I already said that, share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.